All right. At this point, you will already know that we have real-time and multiple instances of browsers, multiple clients that are connected to our Meteor application can update. But what happens if you don't really want to do that? Right now, the entire collection is insecure. The entire collection is being able to be inserted and modified and deleted from, and all of the clients have access to it. This might be fine for small applications, for examples of applications like we're doing right now, but it's not necessarily something that you would want. So if you recall, this tool here has a security tab, and it's showing a message that we should consider removing the insecure package as well as the auto-publish one. So the first one says the insecure package that should be removed. These packages come enabled by default for Meteor in order for us to do exactly what we did, to create the flow of the data that we need, to make sure that things are connecting properly, that your UI is communicating to your database and things like that, but it's, as the name suggests, not very secure. So let's go ahead and remove the insecure package right now and see what happens, shall we? So to do that, remember you can do either going into here and let's split the terminal and say Meteor remove insecure. You see our packages are being modified, and let's open up real quick the packages inside of the .meteor folder. Okay, so if we look for the changes, you'll notice that in this particular case, insecure at version 107 was removed, which is fine, and the versions of the packages, the other file will be also updated. So what happened now, since we didn't kill the server, it still made the changes, and if I refresh the page, we'll still have all of our items being listed. Let's make these a little larger. All right, that works better, I think. And let's go back to the console here and try to add another item. Okay, I hit enter and check this out. It says the access was denied. So we're not able to insert stuff anymore. What do we do then? How can we actually write on the database again? So to do that, what we can do is we can modify this API items file that we have and implement something called a method. So let's first import Meteor here. Okay, so that we have that available, and we want to create a methods object here. So methods is something that Meteor provides for us to be able to communicate with the server. So let's create a method here, create item. And if you're familiar with a RESTful API architecture, you will notice that this looks a lot like an endpoint, which endpoint receives a payload or data that you want to store, and it will do something with it, right? And what it will do is go ahead and insert your item. Let's try that. All right, so we created a method which is called create item, and this essentially is what it's going to communicate to the database. All right, so let's go back here, and instead of doing that directly, we are going to meteor.call our method. So we're going to call the create item method, and the payload will be item, and for that we also have a callback. Okay, so we have a callback as the third parameter for this call method that Meteor exposes, and I think we need to import Meteor as well in here. There you go. Right. Meteor.call will expose this API where you pass in which method you want to call, what stuff you want to send, so what kind of like the payload, and then a callback where you can see if everything went well or it had an error. Let's try that now. Clear the terminal again. Let's actually reload the page so we're fresh, and say once more, after insecure removed, 1, 2, 3. Hit enter. Okay, you can tell that result in this case is undefined, so there's no successful response that something happened, but you can tell here that after insecure removed is now 123. After removing the insecure package, the only way we are able to create items is going to be through the call to the create item method, which was defined when we defined our collection. And these are the things that you can do with your items, right? So in here we defined that the create item was the method, was the piece of code that will actually do the execution of inserting the new item into the database via this collection. And on the component, we are calling that method, create item, from one of the Vue methods. So this is Vue, and then this will be Meteor in here. All right, awesome. Let's try something. Let's try returning this and see what happens. All right. All right, so you can tell now we are returning from this method, and this time we'll return whatever this call to insert does. So we are returning the ID.